Disclaimer.
I died hating my husband. Hell was full of wives.
My name is Renee Caitlin Harper. I am 42. I died for 19 minutes on July 3, 2024 in Auckland, New Zealand.
For years, I told myself I was just being careful, responsible, protecting my family from bad decisions. Before I begin, if God brought you here, subscribe and stay with me. I was a primary school teacher in Auckland, married to Liam, a plumber who ran a small business out of our garage. We had 2 children. We attended church every Sunday. People saw us as a strong Christian couple, but they did not see what happened behind our front door. I controlled everything: the finances, the decisions, the schedule, the tone of our home. I told myself it was necessary. Liam was impulsive. He did not think things through. Someone had to be the adult. Someone had to keep us stable. And so I became that someone. I managed the bank accounts. I decided where the children went to school. I planned the holidays. I led the family devotions. I made sure everything ran smoothly. But somewhere along the way, I stopped consulting him. I stopped asking for his opinion. I stopped trusting him. And I convinced myself this was wisdom. This was leadership. This was what a good wife did when her husband was not ready to lead. I never yelled. I never screamed. I did not throw things or slam doors. My weapon was silence. Cold, calculating silence. When Liam suggested something I disagreed with, I would go quiet for hours, sometimes days. I would withdraw affection. I would withhold intimacy. I would punish him without ever saying a word. And he learned. He learned that his ideas were not welcome, that his leadership was not needed, that it was easier to just let me decide. I drove home every evening along Great North Road, past the same shops, the same intersections, the same gray Auckland sky. I would park in our driveway, walk through the front door, and the silence would already be waiting. Liam would try to greet me, try to tell me about his day, try to share an idea he had for the business, and I would listen, but my face would say everything my mouth did not. Dismissal, impatience, superiority. Dinner was quiet. The children ate quickly and disappeared to their rooms. Liam would sit across from me, scrolling through his phone, and I would sit across from him, marking schoolwork, and neither of us would speak. The distance between us grew wider every single day, but I told myself this was just how marriage worked after 15 years. This was normal. This was fine. When he tried to lead family devotions, I corrected him, in front of the children. When he read a verse incorrectly, I would sigh and say, "That is not what it says, Liam." When he prayed and stumbled over his words, I would finish the prayer for him. When he tried to discipline our son, I would step in and override him. I did not do it loudly. I did it with a look, a tone, a gentle redirection that made it clear I was in charge. And deep down, I knew something was wrong. I prayed for him every morning. I asked God to help Liam become a better leader, a stronger man, a more decisive husband. But I never once asked God to help me honor him. I never once asked God to soften my heart. I never once considered that maybe, just maybe, I was the problem. I told myself I was protecting our family, but I was building a prison, and I was the warden. Liam stopped trying. He stopped suggesting things. He stopped leading. He became quiet, withdrawn, invisible in his own home. And I convinced myself this was his fault, that he was just weak, that he was not spiritual enough, that if he would just step up, I could step back. But I never gave him the space to step up. I never let him fail. I never let him learn. I undermined him quietly, constantly, with every glance, every sigh, every cold shoulder. And our son, our teenage son, he started doing the same thing, dismissing his father, rolling his eyes when Liam spoke, ignoring his instructions, Because he learned it from me. I did not see it then. I could not see it. I was too busy being right. But God saw everything. It was the evening of July 3rd, 2024. A Wednesday, the kind of evening that felt like every other evening. Cold, routine, empty. I had just finished marking a stack of spelling tests at the kitchen table, while Liam walked in from the garage, still in his work clothes, smelling like PVC pipe and sweat. He poured himself a glass of water and stood by the sink for a moment, staring out the window at the darkening sky. Then he turned to me, and I saw something in his face I had not seen in a long time. Hope. "Renee," he said quietly, "I have been thinking about something." I did not look up from my papers. I kept my pen moving across the page. "What is it?" "I want to invest in some new equipment for the business, a pipe threading machine. It would let me take on bigger jobs, commercial contracts. I have been doing the numbers, and I think it would pay for itself in 6 months." I set my pen down. Slowly, I looked at him, and I felt it rise up inside me, that familiar irritation, that voice that said, "Here we go again." Another impulsive idea. Another risk. Another thing I will have to fix when it fails. "How much?" I asked. $12,000? I exhaled sharply through my nose. "Liam, we do not have $12,000 sitting around." "I know," he said quickly, "but I have been saving, and I could take out a small business loan. I have already talked to the bank. They said—" "You talked to the bank?" I interrupted. My voice was calm, too calm. "Without asking me first?" He hesitated. I just wanted to see if it was even possible before I brought it to you." "So you went behind my back?" "No, Renee, I was not going behind your back. I was just—" "You do not think things through, Liam." I stood up, folding my arms across my chest. "You never have. Every time you have a big idea, I am the one who has to clean up the mess when it does not work out. Remember the van you bought 3 years ago? The one that broke down after 2 months? I told you not to buy it, but you did not listen. And guess who had to cover the repairs?" His jaw tightened. "That was different." "It is always different with you, but it is always the same result." He stared at me for a long moment, and then something broke. I saw it in his eyes. The years of silence, the years of being dismissed, the years of being treated like a child in his own home. It all cracked open. "You never believe in me," he said. His voice was shaking. "You never trust me. I am your husband, Renee. Not your child, not your project, your husband. And you treat me like I am incapable of making a single decision without your permission." I felt my chest tighten. "I treat you like someone who needs guidance. Because you do." "No." His voice was louder now, firmer. "You treat me like I am worthless, like my opinion does not matter, like I'm just in the way." "That is not true." "It is true. You do not respect me. You have not respected me in years. And our son sees it. He talks to me the way you talk to me. He dismisses me the way you dismiss me, because you taught him that I do not matter." My hands clenched into fists. "Do not turn this around on me. This is about your irresponsibility, your lack of planning, your—" And then it happened. A sharp pain shot through my chest, like lightning, like something inside me had snapped in half. I gasped. My hand flew to my sternum. The room tilted. My vision blurred at the edges. "Renee?" Liam's voice sounded distant, muffled. I tried to speak, tried to tell him something was wrong, but no words came out. My legs gave out. I felt myself falling, slowly, like the air had turned thick. My body hit the floor, hard. The cold tiles pressed against my cheek. But I was still awake. I could see Liam's face above me. Panic. Pure panic. His hands were on my shoulders, shaking me. "Renee! Renee, can you hear me?" I tried to answer. I could not. My chest felt like it was being crushed. My heart, I could feel it stuttering, slowing, stopping. Liam grabbed his phone. His hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped it. "Yes, yes, my wife. She collapsed. She is not breathing. Please, please hurry." He dropped to his knees beside me. He tilted my head back. He started compressions, counting 1, 2, 3, 4. His voice was breaking. Tears were streaming down his face. "Stay with me, please, please, Renee. Do not leave me." But I was already leaving. I felt myself lift, not physically, something deeper, something inside me separated from my body. I hovered above the scene. I saw my body on the floor, Liam's hands on my chest, pumping, counting, sobbing. I saw the fear in his eyes, the desperation, and for the first time in years, I felt something crack open inside me, regret. I wanted to tell him I was sorry. I wanted to reach down and touch his face. I wanted to take back every cold word, every silent punishment, every dismissive glance, but I could not move. I could not speak. I was trapped between two worlds. His voice sounded distant now, like I was underwater or behind thick glass. "Renee, please, please." Then I felt it, a pull, gentle at first, then stronger, pulling me away from the light, away from him, away from everything familiar. The room began to fade, the walls dissolved, and I fell into a space without light. The cool Auckland night vanished, warmth became heat, rising in slow, heavy waves, silence pressed in, and then distant weeping, faint, layered, the sound of women crying with no one to hear them. Shadows moved below me, bent, faceless, isolated. I was not falling by accident. I was being pulled, and deep inside, something whispered, "This is where the truth begins." The descent did not stop. I kept falling through darkness so thick it felt alive. It pressed against me from all sides, heavy and suffocating, like being buried under wet sand. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I tried to reach for something, anything, but my hands grasped only emptiness, and then I landed. Not with impact, not with pain. I simply stopped falling. My feet touched ground, solid, warm, too warm. I looked down. The surface beneath me was cracked and dark, like baked clay left in the sun for centuries. Faint orange light glowed from the cracks, pulsing slowly, like the ground itself was breathing. Heat rose in waves, not burning, but oppressive, thick, inescapable. I tried to move. My legs felt heavy, like I was wading through water. The air was dense, pressing down on my chest, making every breath feel shallow and incomplete. Smoke curled upward in slow, lazy spirals, thick and gray, carrying a scent I could not name. Not sulfur, not fire. Something older, something that made my stomach turn. I looked around. The landscape stretched endlessly in every direction. No sky, no ceiling. Just a vast, dim void above me, like standing at the bottom of an endless well. The light came from nowhere and everywhere at once, casting no shadows, revealing nothing clearly. Everything was shrouded in a haze, like looking through fogged glass. And then I heard it. Weeping. Faint at first, distant, but layered. Dozens of voices, maybe hundreds. Women crying. Not screaming, not wailing, just mourning. The kind of sobs that come from deep inside, from a place where hope has died. The sound echoed in waves, rising and falling, never stopping, never giving relief. I turned slowly, searching for the source. Shadows moved in the distance. Bent figures, faceless, isolated. They stood alone, separated by invisible walls I could not see but somehow felt. They did not interact. They did not touch. They simply stood, trapped in their own space, replaying something over and over again. My heart pounded, or at least, it felt like it should be pounding. But I realized I could not feel my heartbeat. I pressed my hand to my chest. Nothing. No pulse. No breath. I was aware, but not alive. Panic rose in my throat. "Where am I?" I whispered. My voice sounded flat, dead, like the air swallowed it before it could travel. And then I felt it. A presence, not physical, not visible, but undeniable. Like standing next to someone in a dark room and knowing they are there even though you cannot see them. The presence was behind me, watching, waiting. I turned slowly, and I saw light. Not bright, not blinding, but pure, clean, out of place in this dark, suffocating realm. The light did not flicker. It did not move. It simply existed. Cutting through the haze like a blade through smoke, and within the light, a figure. Tall, unmoving. I could not see a face. I could not see features, but I felt authority. I felt power. I felt judgment. My legs trembled. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide, but I could not move. The figure did not speak with a mouth. The words came from inside me, from somewhere deeper than my ears, deeper than my mind. "Do you know where you are?" I opened my mouth to answer, but no words came. My throat felt tight. My chest felt crushed. I shook my head slowly. "This is the realm of separation," the voice said. "The place where those who rejected divine order come to see the truth they refuse to see in life." I did not reject anything, I stammered. "I went to church. I prayed. I taught my children about God." You prayed for your husband," the voice interrupted. "But you did not honor him. You asked me to change him, but you refused to submit to him. You called it wisdom. I call it rebellion." The words hit me like a physical blow. My knees buckled. I fell to the ground, the heat from the cracked surface burning through my clothes. I was just trying to protect my family," I whispered. "Liam was not ready to lead. He made mistakes. You had to obey." Silence. The weight of that word pressed down on me like a mountain. "I gave you a role," the voice continued. "I called you to be his helper, his partner, his support. I placed him as the head of your home not because he was perfect, but because that is my order. And you rejected it. You replaced submission with control. You replaced trust with manipulation. And you replaced honor with contempt." Tears burned in my eyes. "But he was not leading. He was failing. I had to step in. You never gave him the space to lead. You never let him fail. You never let him learn. Every time he tried to step forward, you pushed him back with silence, with coldness, with quiet, calculated cruelty, and you called it love." I shook my head, sobbing. No, I loved him. You loved your control more than you loved him." The words shattered something inside me. The light shifted. The figure extended a hand, not to touch me, but to gesture. And suddenly the haze around me cleared. I saw them, women, hundreds of them, thousands, stretching endlessly into the distance. They stood alone, separated, trapped in invisible prisons. Some were dressed in modern clothes, jeans, blouses, dresses. Others wore traditional garments from different eras, different cultures. But they all had one thing in common. They were wives, and they were all replaying moments from their lives. I watched, frozen, as their memories played out in the air around them like silent films. I saw a woman standing in a kitchen, arms folded, face cold as her husband tried to explain an idea. She rolled her eyes, turned away, walked out of the room without a word. He stood there alone, shoulders sagging, defeated. I saw another woman sitting at a dinner table surrounded by family, laughing loudly as she told a story that humiliated her husband. Everyone laughed. He sat silent, staring at his plate, face red with shame. I saw a woman withholding affection, turning away in bed, punishing her husband for something he did not even understand, night after night, week after week, until he stopped trying. I saw a woman correcting her husband in front of their children, dismissing his authority, undermining his decisions, teaching them that their father's word did not matter. I saw a woman posting on social media, typing cruel jokes about her husband, sharing memes that mocked him, laughing with strangers online while he sat in the next room, unaware that the woman he loved was tearing him down to the world. And I saw the consequences. I saw marriages crumble. I saw children grow up confused, angry, disrespectful. I saw men become shells of themselves, withdrawn, silent, broken. I saw families fall apart. I saw homes become cold, lifeless, empty. And I saw the spiritual dimension. Dark figures moved through these homes, shadows with no faces. They fed on the dishonor. They grew stronger with every cold word, every dismissive glance, every silent punishment. They whispered lies into the ears of these women. You are right. He is weak. You deserve better. You are the only one holding this family together. And the women believed them. They believed the lies. They justified their behavior. They convinced themselves that their control was wisdom, their coldness was strength, their disrespect was necessary. And slowly, quietly, without realizing it, they became enemies of their own husbands. I felt sick. My stomach twisted, my hands trembled. This is what you did, the voice said. This is what millions of wives are doing. They have been deceived into believing that disrespect is empowerment, that control is protection, that rebellion is righteousness. But I see the truth. And now, so do you. I looked at the women again, and I realized something. They were not screaming. They were not fighting. They were not resisting. They were mourning the marriages they destroyed, mourning the men they broke, mourning the families they lost, mourning the years they wasted, mourning the truth they refused to see until it was too late. And the worst part, the unbearable part, was that they were alone, completely, utterly alone. No one could hear them. No one could reach them. They were trapped in their own regret, forced to watch their choices play out over and over again, unable to change anything, unable to go back, unable to apologize. "Why are they here?" I whispered. "Because they refused to repent." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "They had time," the voice continued. "They had warnings. They had conviction. They felt the Spirit stir in their hearts, telling them to change, to soften, to submit. But they ignored it. They justified it. They hardened their hearts. And when they stood before me, they still believed they were right." I collapsed forward, pressing my forehead to the hot, cracked ground. "No, no, please. I did not know. I did not understand. I thought I was helping. I thought—" "You knew." The words cut through me like a knife. "You knew when you withheld affection to punish him. You knew when you dismissed him in front of your children. You knew when you prayed for him to change, but refused to honor him as he was. You knew when you made yourself the head of your home and reduced him to a servant in his own house. You felt the conviction, you heard the whisper, and you ignored it." I sobbed, deep, my guttural sobs that shook my entire being. Because it was true. I did know. I knew every time I gave him the silent treatment and watched him shrink. I knew every time I corrected him in front of the kids and saw the light leave his eyes. I knew every time I made a major decision without consulting him and felt the distance grow between us. I knew, and I did it anyway. The voice spoke again, softer now, but no less powerful. Look. I lifted my head, tears streaming down my face. The scene around me shifted. The women faded into the background, and suddenly, I was somewhere else. I was standing in my own home, my kitchen, my hallway, my living room. But I was not alone. I saw myself, not as I was now, but as I had been, for years. I watched myself move through the house like a ghost, reliving moments I had forgotten, moments I had buried, moments I had justified. I saw myself standing at the kitchen sink, washing dishes, while Liam tried to tell me about his day. I did not look at him. I did not respond. I just kept scrubbing the same plate over and over, my silence louder than any words. I saw myself sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, while Liam sat across from me, staring at the television, the space between us wide and cold. Neither of us spoke. Neither of us tried. We were two strangers living in the same house. I saw myself in the bedroom, lying with my back to him, stiff and unyielding as he reached out to touch my shoulder. I pulled away. He sighed, rolled over, gave up, and I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction. I had won. Again. I saw myself at a family gathering, laughing with my sisters, telling a story about how Liam forgot to pick up milk on the way home. Everyone laughed. It seemed harmless, funny, but I saw his face, sitting at the edge of the room, quiet, ashamed, small. I saw myself in the car, driving home from church, snapping at him for taking a wrong turn. I told you to go left. Why do you never listen to me? He said nothing, just stared out the window, defeated. I saw myself correcting him during family devotions. He was reading from Proverbs, stumbling over a word. I interrupted. It is pronounced differently, Liam. My son snickered. Liam closed the Bible, never led devotions again. I saw myself withholding intimacy, week after week, month after month, using it as leverage, as punishment, as control. And I saw him stop reaching for me, stop trying, stop hoping. I saw myself managing the finances alone, making decisions alone, planning the future alone, raising the children alone, not because he was absent, but because I made him irrelevant, and I saw the moment I broke him. It was a Tuesday evening, 3 years ago. He had come home excited about a job he landed, a big contract. He wanted to celebrate. He suggested we go out to dinner. Just the two of us. Leave the kids with my mother. I looked at him, and I said, "We cannot afford that right now. You know that." I just thought, maybe this once. You never think about the budget, Liam. That is why I have to handle everything. His face fell. The excitement drained out of him like water from a broken cup. He nodded, walked away, went into the garage, did not come out for hours, and I felt nothing, no guilt, no regret, just irritation that he had even suggested it. But now, watching it again, I saw what I did not see before. I saw him sit alone in the garage, head in his hands, shoulders shaking. I saw him cry, silently, alone, because he felt worthless in his own home, because his wife had made him feel like a failure, because the woman he loved had become his judge, his critic, his enemy. And I had walked past that garage door 100 times and never once thought to open it. I fell to my knees again, gasping for air that would not come. "I did this," I whispered. "I did this to him. Yes, I broke him. Yes, I destroyed our marriage. Yes, I covered my face with my hands, sobbing so hard I thought I would shatter." But it was not just your marriage you destroyed, the voice said. The scene shifted again. I saw my son, my teenage son, sitting at the dinner table, talking to his father. No, not talking to him, talking at him, dismissing him, rolling his eyes, ignoring his instructions, speaking to him the way I had spoken to him for years. I saw Liam try to correct him. Do not speak to me that way. And my son laughed. Why not? Mom does. Liam said nothing, just sat there, silent, powerless. And I saw the truth. I had not just disrespected my husband. I had taught my son to disrespect him too. I had modeled dishonor. I had trained my children to see their father as weak, as incompetent, as unworthy of respect. And now my son was becoming the same kind of man I had tried to prevent Liam from being, cold, dismissive, controlling, because he learned it from me. No, I gasped. No, please, I did not mean to. You did not mean to, the voice interrupted. But you did, and the consequences are real. Your son will struggle to respect authority. He will struggle to honor women. He will struggle to lead his own family. Because you taught him that leadership does not matter, that fathers are optional, that men are inferior. I shook my head violently, tears pouring down my face. I did not think. You did not think. You did not care. You were too focused on being right. The scene shifted one final time. I saw Liam, alone, sitting in our bedroom, late at night, the house quiet, everyone asleep. He was praying. His head was bowed, his hands were clasped. His voice was barely a whisper. God, I do not know what to do. I love her, but she does not love me, not anymore. I try to lead. She stops me. I try to provide. She dismisses me. I try to love her. She turns away. I feel like I am drowning in my own home. Please, help me change her heart or change mine. I cannot keep living like this. And then he stopped. He lifted his head, and I saw his face, broken, exhausted, empty. He was not angry. He was not bitter. He was just done. And I realized I had not just controlled him. I had crushed him. I had taken a man who loved me, who wanted to lead, who wanted to be my partner, and I had turned him into a shadow. I had stolen his confidence, his joy, his strength, his identity, and I had done it all while believing I was helping. The voice spoke one last time. This is what silent disrespect does. It does not explode. It erodes, slowly, quietly, until there is nothing left, and by the time you realize what you have done, it is too late. I collapsed completely, my face pressed against the scorching ground, my body shaking with sobs that came from a place deeper than my soul. I am sorry, I whispered. I am so sorry. Please, I will change. I will do anything. Just let me go back. Let me fix this. Please. Silence. The heat pressed down. The weeping of the other women echoed around me, and I realized I was one of them. I was standing in the same place, trapped in the same regret, mourning the same loss. I had become what I saw, a wife who destroyed her own marriage, a woman who rejected God's order, a soul separated from everything she loved because I chose pride over submission, control over trust, silence over honor. And now I was paying the price. I do not know how long I lay there. Time did not exist in that place. There was no clock, no sun, no movement forward, just endless crushing weight, the heat, the smoke, the sound of women weeping, and my own voice broken and raw, whispering the same words over and over. I am sorry, I am sorry, I am sorry. But no one answered. The ground burned beneath me, the air pressed down on my chest. I could not move. I could not think. I could only feel the unbearable truth of what I had done. I had destroyed my marriage. I had broken my husband. I had taught my son to dishonor his father, and I had done it all while calling myself a Christian. The shame was suffocating. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to stop existing. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me whole so I would never have to face this truth again. But the truth would not let me go. It wrapped around me like chains. And then something changed. The heat lessened. Not by much, but enough to notice. The weeping around me faded. The oppressive weight on my chest lifted slightly. I opened my eyes, and I saw light, not the dim, suffocating glow that came from the cracks in the ground, not the sterile, terrifying light of the presence that had shown me my sin. This was different, warm, pure, alive. It cut through the smoke like a blade. It tore through the darkness like dawn breaking over the ocean. It moved toward me with purpose, with power, with authority that made the entire realm tremble, and within the light, I saw him. Jesus. I knew it was him. I do not know how, but I knew. His face was kind, but his eyes held everything, every truth, every sin, every moment, every choice. He saw it all, and he still came. He knelt beside me. I could not look at him. I turned my face away, sobbing. I am not worthy, I whispered. I am not worthy to be here. I deserve this place. I deserve Renee. My name. He said my name. And when he spoke it, everything stopped. The weeping stopped. The heat stopped. The crushing weight stopped. There was only his voice. Your time is not finished, he said. I shook my head, still unable to look at him. I failed. I destroyed everything. You did, he said gently. But you are not finished. He reached out and placed his hand on my shoulder. The moment he touched me, everything changed. The chains I felt around my heart shattered. The weight on my chest lifted. The suffocating shame broke. Not because my sin disappeared, but because his grace was stronger. You will return, he said, and you will warn them. Warn them? I looked up at him, tears streaming down my face. Who will listen to me? I failed. I am a hypocrite. You will tell them the truth, he interrupted. You will tell them what you saw. You will tell them what silent disrespect does. You will tell them that submission is not weakness, it is obedience, and obedience is life. But Liam is praying for you right now, he said. He has not stopped. He is kneeling beside your body in the hospital, begging me to bring you back, and I am answering his prayer. My breath caught. He still loves you, Jesus said softly. Even after everything, he still loves you, and I am giving you the chance to love him the way I commanded you to. I broke. Completely. I fell forward, grabbing the hem of his robe, sobbing so hard I could barely breathe. Please, I gasped. Please, I will change. I will honor him. I will submit. I will teach others. I will do whatever you ask. Just let me go back. Please. He lifted my face gently. Then go, he said, and do not waste this gift. Suddenly, a force like a hurricane pulled me upward. The ground disappeared beneath me. The darkness shattered into 1,000 pieces. The light exploded around me, blinding and pure and overwhelming. I shot upward with violent speed, faster than thought, faster than breath. The heat vanished. The smoke cleared. The weeping stopped. And then, air. Cold, sharp, burning air rushed into my lungs like fire. I gasped. My eyes flew open. White ceiling, fluorescent lights, beeping monitors, hospital. I was back. Hands gripped mine, warm, shaking. Renee, stay with me. Stay with me. Liam. I turned my head slowly, every muscle in my body screaming. He was there, kneeling beside the bed. His face was red and swollen from crying. His eyes were bloodshot. His hands were trembling as they held mine. "Liam," I whispered. His face crumpled. He pressed his forehead against my hand, sobbing. "Thank God. Thank God. I thought I lost you." Tears poured down my face. "I am sorry," I whispered. "I am so sorry." He looked up at me, confused. "What? Renee?" You do not have to." "I do." My voice was shaking. "I have to. I saw what I did to you. I saw what I became, and I am so, so sorry." He stared at me, stunned, and for the first time in years, I saw hope flicker in his eyes. I could not speak for 2 days. The doctor said it was trauma, shock, my body shutting down after 19 minutes without oxygen. But I knew the truth. My voice had been taken, just like the women I saw, just like the silence I had used as a weapon for so many years. God had silenced me. And in that silence, I finally learned to listen. Liam stayed by my side the entire time. He read to me, he prayed over me, he held my hand. And I watched him, really watched him. For the first time in years, I saw him, not as a project, not as someone I needed to fix, but as the man God had given me, imperfect, human, but faithful. On the 3rd day, my voice returned. The first words I spoke were simple. "Liam, I am sorry." He looked at me, tears filling his eyes. "You already said that." "I know, but I need to say it again, and again, and again, until you believe me." He squeezed my hand. "I believe you." "I saw hell, Liam." My voice cracked. "I saw where I was going. I saw what I did to you, to us, to our son, and I cannot live like that anymore." He listened. He did not interrupt. He did not dismiss me. He just listened. And I told him everything. I told him about the women I saw, about the silence, about the regret, about the weight of dishonor, about the spiritual consequences of my pride, about the moment Jesus pulled me out and told me to warn others. When I finished, we both sat in silence. Then Liam spoke. "I forgive you." 3 words. But they broke something open inside me that had been locked for years. I sobbed. He held me. And for the first time in our marriage, I felt like his wife again. Not his manager, not his mother, not his judge, his wife. When I was discharged from the hospital, I went home and did something I should have done years ago. I confessed. I called our pastor. I asked him to come to our house, and in front of Liam and our children, I confessed everything. I admitted my pride, my control, my disrespect, my rebellion. I asked for forgiveness from God, from Liam, from my kids. My son cried. He apologized too, for the way he had treated his father, for the way he had learned dishonor from me, and slowly, painfully, beautifully, our family began to heal. I began studying what the Bible really says about marriage, not what culture says, and not what I wanted it to say, but what God says. Ephesians 5:33. "Let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. Not if he earns it, not if he deserves it. Just respect him." Colossians 3:18. Wives, submit to your own husbands as is fitting in the Lord. Submit, a word I had twisted and redefined and rejected for years, but now I saw it clearly. Submission is not oppression. It is order. It is trust. It is obedience to God, not just to man. 1 Peter 3:1-2. Wives, be subject to your own husbands, so that even if some do not obey the word, they may be won without a word by the conduct of their wives, when they see your respectful and pure conduct. Without a word. That hit me the hardest. I had spent years trying to change Liam with my words, with my corrections, with my silence. But God said the opposite. Win him without a word, through respect, through conduct, through honor. I started putting it into practice. I asked Liam for his opinion before making decisions. I let him lead family devotions without correcting him. I affirmed him in front of the children. I apologized when I slipped back into old patterns. I thanked him for providing. I respected him publicly. I honored him privately. And I watched him transform, not because I forced him, but because I finally gave him the space to be the man God called him to be. He started leading again, confidently, boldly. He made decisions. He took risks. He stepped up in ways I had never seen before, because for the first time in years, he felt like a man in his own home. 3 months after I came back from death, I shared my testimony at our church. I stood in front of 200 people and told them everything. I did not hold back. I did not sugarcoat it. I told them about my pride, my control, my disrespect. I told them about hell, about the women I saw, about the silence, about the regret, and I warned them. I told the wives in the room, if you are using silence as a weapon, stop. If you are withholding respect because you think he has to earn it, you are wrong. If you are controlling your home because you think you are protecting it, you are destroying it. God's order is not oppressive. It is protective. And when you reject it, you open doors to darkness you cannot see. Women wept. Some walked out. Others stayed and asked questions. But the ones who stayed, they reached out. Messages flooded my inbox. Women confessing the same patterns, the same pride, the same control. They told me their marriages were dying, their husbands were distant, their children were rebellious, and they did not know why. I told them what I learned. I started a small group for wives. We met every week. We studied scripture. We confessed our struggles. We held each other accountable. We prayed for our husbands. We learned what biblical submission really means. And I watched marriages come back from the edge. I watched women soften. I watched men rise. I watched families heal. One woman told me her husband cried for the first time in 10 years after she apologized for disrespecting him. Another told me her teenage son started honoring his father again after she modeled it first. The testimony spread. Churches invited me to speak. Women's conferences. Marriage retreats. I traveled across New Zealand, telling the same story over and over, and every time I finished, women came forward, some angry, some defensive, but most broken, desperate, hungry for truth. I am still learning. I still slip. I still struggle with control. But now I catch myself. I repent quickly. I ask Liam for forgiveness. And I keep moving forward because I know what is at stake. I saw it. I felt it. And I will spend the rest of my life warning others. If you are hearing this, it is for a reason. Do not ignore the conviction in your heart. Do not justify your disrespect. Do not wait until it is too late. Examine your marriage today. Ask God to show you where you have dishonored your husband. Repent. Apologize. Change. Because submission is not weakness, it is obedience. And obedience is life. Tell me where you are watching from. I want to pray for you tonight. And stay connected. There are more warnings people need to hear.